Hello, my name is Janae French, and I'm here to discuss crime prevention in youth and adolescents. Anyone who is concerned about children should want what is best for them. It is in a child's best interest for parents and leaders to make decisions that will have positive results for adolescents and children. What influences our children will eventually affect the world and the state of the planet. Children need to be understood and considered. It is vital for a child's growth and development. Society has seen devastating effects of bad parenting, poor education, and single-parent homes. Children often suffer generational effects in circumstances that are not favorable to starting with a strong child. These effects follow them into adulthood. General injustices from year to year of oppression and systematic racism, intolerance of society's complex situational things that the situations that occur in children's lives span from abandonment, abuse, poor educational systems, and I'm here today to talk about some of the things that a child can suffer from in a society as a whole. These effects follow them into adulthood. Generational injustice from year to year. Every child should be raised in a safe environment, and hopefully that environment is their home. A parent, a mentor, or a professional is what our children will become. Children are delicate but strong. It is in everyone's best interest that society becomes educated for the sake of the well-being of children and adults. Children are indeed the future of society. They will become future husbands, wives, and parents. They will also be the people other adults will rely on when they are old and feeble. Studies have shown that happy, healthy children make healthy, thriving adults. These same people will also become the persons we interact with in all social aspects of work, play, and family life. Now, my rationale is there are numerous occurrences of children who become wayward from homes that do not thrive in society. It's on the news day and night how certain neighborhoods are plagued with violence and other crimes. Unfortunately, this symptomatic and intentional degrade to ethnic communities. These communities are those financially deprived neighborhoods. Oftentimes, where parents or guardians are overly stressed, underpaid, and many of those homes only have one working parent, single mothers or fathers who are raising children with very little resources. Single mothers are often forced to rely on welfare and unemployment. Single-parent homes affect 15,067,000 households. From 1970 to 1919, there were 15,000,076 children living with a single mother in the United States, and about 3.2 million children living with a single father. Educational systems often fail poor children from neighborhoods where their sources of funding. That funding is pulled from sources such as local property taxes, federal monies, and state funding monies. The location of the district and the school type is often play a role. In other words, what categories do these students fall under? For instance, is it going towards a high school as opposed to a grammar school or a preschool? With all things considered, these are factors considered when deciding what the budget will be. Every household pays property taxes. Lower income neighborhoods pay fewer taxes because of the property values of homes in any given neighborhood where there are people of color. Therefore, neighborhoods with blacks and Latinos, whether they be low income or working middle class neighborhoods, have lower property tax value, while predominantly white neighborhoods maintain a value or an increased due the fact that they were white, which means this is the same districts automatically have more funding simply because of the color of their skin. Disciplinary perspectives, legal and economical perspective. Dorothy Brown, a professor of tax law at Emory Universal Law School, wrote, a 2001 Brookings Institute study showed that the wealthy minority neighborhoods had less home value per dollar income than wealthy white neighborhoods. The same study concluded that poor white neighborhoods had more home value per income than poor minority neighborhoods. The Brookings study was based on comparison of home values to homeowner incomes. A nation's 100 largest metropolitan area, and it found that even when homeowners had similar incomes, black homes were valued at 18% less than white homes. The 100% metropolitan area were home to 58% of whites and 63% of blacks in the country. December 10, 2012, Forbes. Now, these are just a few of the contributing factors. Funded school budget cuts continue to plague urban schools, limit programs and resources. Hopes of coming out of these situations for youth who don't control these circumstances lead to crime in youth. Children are very observant. They take a lot in, and they understand far beyond what society notices. Children start to feel as though they need to rescue themselves and sometimes want to help their parents and themselves, so they take criminal behaviors. This even through those studies have shown that children are more susceptible to these behaviors when they are underprivileged. There are exceptions in families where two-parent homes and they live in neighborhoods with a higher tax bracket. We see situations in rich white neighborhoods like the infamous Sandy Hook. We see instances where poor neighborhoods with less heinous crimes committed are more commonly we see crime that does not discriminate. More often we see white neighborhoods, crime still exists. However, there have been studies that confirm that white communities have a higher volume of serial killers and murderers. Now, with that being stated, there's been mass incarceration for several decades of particularly blacks and Hispanics. Even though blacks and Hispanics typically live in poor neighborhoods, why do we see that there are more incarcerated criminals of the black and Hispanic community than there are whites? So what is known is crime often occurs within a home of children who come from dysfunctional families. Whether they be white or black, dysfunction can affect wealthy families as well as underprivileged families. Children from wealthy families still deal with problems of neglect, Households with two working parents leave children open to neglect, and even when poverty isn't the issue. In these cases, children may be given things instead of quality time. Quality time is spent having meaningful conversations, enjoying your children, getting to know the kinds of things your child is going through, such as bullying, learning issues, social behavioral problems, and why they are occurring in the first place. My stance is crime starts within the family structure, first and then outside of the home. Crime within the home could be a series of events starting from neglect, molestation, abandonment, abuse, and each case is different. There are also cases where abuse is subtle or even pressure is put on a child. High stress levels from arguments had by parents, relatives, from arguing with siblings. The family dynamic from which a child comes from can make or break society. Families aren't always aware that there is help, and even worse, they are usually not aware of the kind of help they need. Sometimes talking within a family, such as counseling, talk therapy, or other services were made available. Another problem is accessibility. Do families have accessibility to these resources? It has been a personal goal to have a timely access to said resources. In order to have more helpful resources such as therapy, doctors, housing, counseling, and affordable health care, and reliable transportation. These are the barriers that directly affect underprivileged youth. The most simple solution is to give children programs that will allow parents to extend programs such as music, trades, that will give opportunities and firm foundation that can start structure in the minds of youth. They need outlets. School cuts funding for enrichment programs first. Woodshop, art, music were some of the trades, and even cosmetology programs and barbering programs. All trades that open possibility for success in the mind of a children and adolescents alike. The idea is given the option for them to do something they otherwise may not have been exposed to or otherwise exposed to. Children make up at least 55% of society. With this being stated, children also need to be cared for, nurtured, and respected. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you.